What's up, everybody? My name is Justin. This is Forever Self-Employed. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to land six-figure industrial pressure washing jobs. I'm here with my partner, Jacob. Jacob, how's it going, man?
What's going on, Justin? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. So usually you guys see Jacob, on film, but now, he's in here with me. We're going to be talking about how we landed $250,000 in industrial cleanings over the past 2 years doing pressure washing, right? So we're going to be giving away a lot of secrets in this one, the differences in the quoting process, how we land them, different types of marketing that work, how we nurtured relationships, as well as, the biggest differences between all the different types of work and some of the biggest hurdles that we've had to get over in order to do some of this industrial work. Right, Jacob?
That's right.
Okay, beautiful. So if all that sounds good, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. I do want to let you guys know about something real quick. So first and foremost, Quote IQ is $1 right now. You guys can try any tier of Quote IQ for $1. Just check out the first link in the comment section description. I think it actually might be the second link. So check that out. Help you keep track of your customers, send estimates, invoices, and collect payments, all for free. And there's also paid versions that do really well as well. Also, if you guys want to learn how we land huge jobs, like some of this industrial work, be sure to check out the local domination course. In it, I think it's like over 8 hours of content. Obviously, we can't go over 8 hours worth of stuff in this video. But we've landed some huge jobs. We did a $40,000 hospital cleaning with this info. And we did like multiple 5-figure jobs that we're going to be talking about, and one 6-figure job that we're going to be talking about with regards to industrial work. So with that being said, check out local dom, check out Quote IQ, first and second link in the comment section description, and let's go ahead and jump right into the video. So Jacob, first and foremost, there's 3 different types of basic pressure washing jobs that we can do, right? There are residential, commercial, and industrial. Let's kind of talk through some of the differences on those, if you will.
Yeah, so residential typically comes to more of like your everyday work whenever it comes to owning a pressure washing and self-washing company, whether it be a part-time or a full-time gig. That's what pays our bills for the most part. We kind of use our commercial and our industrial side of things to stack the account and make those bigger purchases as a business. Residential keeps chemical in the tanks, keeps the truck notes paid and insurance and all those good bills that you got to pay every month. So whenever an industrial job or a commercial job comes in, that's just icing on the cake, I guess. Something to throw more money into the account, save up for bigger purchases to expand your business.
Right. So the majority of your business that's going to be done for anybody who's looking to start a pressure washing business out there is going to be your residential work. That's kind of like the foundation of our business. On top of that is going to be commercial work, which is obviously gives us some great opportunities to make a lot more money. And then, of course, we have our industrial. And that's kind of like the ratio of how the jobs are proportioned, right? Majority is residential. We have a good bit of commercial, but we have a little bit of industrial, which industrial gives you a good opportunity to make a lot of money, which is what we're going to be talking about in this video. So first and foremost, we got some trolls in the chat. I appreciate it, Mike. We're going to be talking about how to land these types of jobs. So a majority we've landed through Google, which is something that we go over a lot within the local domination course. First link in the comment section and description. We actually go through a strategy that me and Jacob have been developing, more so Jacob, but it's around Google ads, and it's actually brought us some pretty big jobs. Most recently, it brought us a $10,000 parking lot striping job that we did on a what was it, Jacob? A gravel parking lot.
Gravel slash dirt.
Yeah, so it was actually a $5 lead that we got from Google, turning it into a $10,000 industrial job. So I would say that Google is probably the biggest way that we bring in industrial leads. But our first industrial lead actually came through nurturing a relationship with somebody who was a contact. So Jacob, do you kind of want to talk through kind of how we got our first job?
Yeah, so some guys that I went to high school with, grew up with, all through elementary school and everything like that, growing up all through high school. Their neighbor actually works for a contractor that does industrial work. And after we got the business going, it took a couple of years, after we got our first few commercial contracts, for them to say, okay, yeah, I guess they're kind of serious about this whole pressure washing and self-washing thing. They're doing pretty good. They're picking up bigger jobs. Let me give their contact to my boss, which was a project manager for this contractor, and ended up giving us a call. I thought it was going to be for like a house cleaning or something like that. And then we ended up landing our first industrial job and pretty much been up from there. We just quoted another one the other day, and we look to do a lot more in the future.
Right. And so, like,
from that one.
the biggest thing is just getting that first contact, that first foot in the door. So, like Jacob said, a family friend kind of leveraged our way into our first industrial cleaning. More recently, the jobs have been coming from Google, either through the Google ads that we're running or just our placement, which is pretty high up in Google. We get the calls coming in, as well as we did land one through a Facebook ad. We're going to kind of talk through some of the jobs, what they entailed, and things of that nature towards the back end of the call. But you can basically get industrial jobs anywhere. You just need to get in front of the right person. They're just easiest through Google, obviously, because those people are actively searching out service providers to solve an issue for them. So for anybody who wants to land these large industrial jobs, step one, get in front of them on Google. And then step two, leverage that relationship down the road. So Jacob, I would say a lot of the work that we've done has been return work because we got in good with, somebody, and then they were able to send us more work after that. Right.
Right. And once you get in with these types of contractors, the potential to get more work through them is very likely, being all the paperwork that it requires to get into these industrial facilities. So once you're in with them and you filled out all your vendor forms and submitted all your insurance paperwork and everything that's required to go along with it, then typically they're going to stick with you unless you just go in there and don't satisfy them as far as the job goes. They're going to stick with you because they don't want to have to go back through that same process again with a different contractor if you're already in their system and you can come in and do the same work that another contractor would do.
Right. I would say that's probably the biggest competitive advantage you can give yourself is just being quick in the quoting process, doing a good job when you go out there and do the job, and then just kind of like staying in front of them afterwards, like, following up, seeing if there's any work that can be done. And like we've been able to nurture the relationships with these people and get much more work. And like Jacob said, they don't want to call anybody else because they know that we do a good job, and it's easier because they don't have to go back out and search. We actually just did a quote for a recurring commercial cleaning. You guys will probably see it on the channel here because I think we landed it, but it's every other month for a year, right, Jacob? 6 times a year.
Yeah, that's correct.
But basically the lead came in off of Google, probably off of one of the ads, but we got in contact with her, and same day, right? We went out, took a look at it, got her the quote, and we're going to get the job, and we're going to be able to leverage that relationship into more work in the future. So how quickly can you respond to somebody, and how well can you take care of them? And that'll take care of you for the lifetime of your business, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I would agree.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something that me and Jacob are always cognizant of, is like we are trying to be as quick as possible when these leads come through, because we know that that's how you get the work, because a lot of these companies, they don't call back, they don't get back with the customer, they don't follow up, things of that nature. So we're quick. We send the estimate quick because a customer is going to make that purchasing decision probably within, they just want a good price. They want a good contractor, good price, and then they're ready to roll. You know what I mean? They're not, unless it's a huge company that needs 3 quotes, and then it's a little bit different of a game.
Either that or they're shopping. So the first person that's going to get them the quote, they usually get the upper hand above all the other companies that are getting quotes as well. So
Right.
better to be quick, show up on site, give an accurate quote, and get it sent in before they receive a bunch of bids, and then yours goes out the window because they're looking at 10 other bids along with yours.
So step one with regards to landing 6-figure industrial pressure washing jobs is to get in front of the right people, right? You can do that any way. You can leverage relationships. You can do it through Google ads, through Google presence, or you can do that through Facebook ads, because we've done all 3 in the past. However, I would tell you guys, I would really focus on Google, and that's kind of where me and Jacob's attention has been most at, and that's what we teach within the local domination course. The next thing that I want to go into is the quoting aspect. So let's kind of talk about some of the differences within quoting, even from like commercial to industrial, Jacob.
So industrial requires a lot more, I would say, like in-depth quoting, because you have so many different factors that play into your estimate. Whenever you go on a commercial job, yeah, you want to give an accurate quote, but at some point they still have a budget that they're trying to follow. Whenever it comes to industrial, this isn't so much the case, because you got so many more safety risk and hazards that go along with these quotes. And plus, they're looking for somebody to get in there, do the job right, do it safe, and get it done in a timely manner, because a lot of times they have an audit coming up, or they have people coming in, or it's a safety risk for their actual employees. Like if you're doing a TPO roof and they got people going up there cleaning the AC units out, and there's all kind of algae and buildup on those TPO roofs. Then it becomes a slipping hazard. So that was one job that we did. They wanted to get those cleaned because they were having some work done on the AC the following month. So they needed it done the month before, and we sent them a bid. We were able to bid that a little bit higher than we typically would on a normal commercial job, due to the fact that it was a time crunch job and we're working in the plant. So there's chemicals around, there's stuff in the air, there's fall hazards, safety equipment you got to wear, plus all the requirements to actually get into the plant. So you're able to bid these jobs higher than you normally would a regular commercial job, and there's not so much a budget again.
Right. They have a little bit more money to play with, which is fun. And that's why you can get in a situation where you can land these six-figure industrial jobs. Jake, our biggest quote that we ever sent out to an industrial job was $120,000. Can you kind of talk through like some of the aspects of that quote, just to kind of give context if anybody finds themselves in a situation where they can quote that much?
Yeah, so that quote actually got brought up on the first ever industrial job we did, and they had kind of mentioned something about it, and we went and hopped on the cart with the guy that was in charge of all the finances for this particular plant that we were doing work in, and we hopped on the cart with him, and he said, "Man, I want to see about getting this pipe rack cleaned." And for those of you who don't know, a pipe rack is basically all the processing pipes that run through the plant, and it makes up a pipe rack whenever they're all bundled together, going across all these different structures. And it's a lengthy run. I think the run was somewhere around 1,200 feet long or something like that. And it was like 10 different processing pipes inside this pipe rack. So we weren't sure if we were going to be able to use chemical or not. So we actually sent them two separate bids. We sent them one with chemical if we were able to use chemical, and one if we weren't able to use chemical. And then the one without being able to use chemical was the $125,000 one.
Yeah,
So,
that was a pretty big quote. Jake,
yeah.
how did it feel to send over $120,000 quote? Did it feel like I don't know, you get kind of excited. I try to tell guys all the channel, don't get googly eyes, but anytime a big lead comes in, like we always get the googly eyes. We're like, dude, this
Even for small commercial jobs, we still get excited just because we like the contacts, because we know that they're probably going to use us again in the future.
right.
It's not like your normal residential job.
Even the one that like I sent in today, like you text me back and you're like, dude, this is like a huge building. And it was like a mini mall or something, right?
Yeah, right.
And so it came through and like we were super excited. Now they only needed like 2 different stores cleaned. However, we got excited. So it's just fun when those kind of calls come through.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jacob, anything else with regards to quoting that's something to keep in consideration? I know you mentioned like safety. Obviously, you could charge a little bit more because their budget's a little bit bigger. So anything else with regards to quoting?
I would say, just if you're not familiar with industrial work or how it works, I would say kind of do your research, maybe even call around like a customer looking for some work, to your local contractors if you are around some industrial facilities and things like that. Kind of get an idea of how these jobs are quoted, because me and Kel have past experiences working in these facilities under a different contractor doing electrical work. So we kind of know like the safety risk and hazards, different things that they're going to require, different documents that they're going to require whenever it comes to actually being able to enter these facilities. So we didn't have to do as much research. Plus, the contractor that we sub under also kind of gave us some hints and lended a hand in the quoting process for those first couple. But do your research, call around if you do pick up one of these jobs, and don't be scared to quote these jobs at all. I mean, we don't go through the gate of an industrial facility for anything less than double what we would normally charge.
Dang, dude, I like that. That's a good snippet for this whole video. Quote IQ's commenting and say, I trust you sent your quote with Quote IQ. I mean, that's one of the benefits of sending estimates and invoices with Quote IQ is it's very professional. So if you want to leg up on your competition, be sure to check out Quote IQ. You guys can get it for $1 at myquoteiq.com. Second link in the comment section and the description. Todd Catchall says Quote IQ with the fire emoji. The other thing is there was actually on the gravel parking lot that we did for $10,000. We actually had to send custom terms and conditions, which we attached to the estimate, basically absolving ourselves of any blame if the paint did not adhere to the gravel. Remember that, Jacob?
Yeah. because
I'll
we
be
already
honest,
knew what we were
ChatGPT wrote that, but
doing. Right, and that was one of the things that we hadn't had to deal with before prior to actually bidding that job because um, just about I think we did one other job that wasn't under the contractor that we normally sub under, and it was outside of the facility. This job was actually inside the facility, quote unquote. It wasn't in the facility, it was right outside the facility, but they required all of your PPE that they would require if you were to enter the facility. So that was actually our first job that we quoted and had to kind of do that research on and see how to quote it, the requirements for quoting this job, not being under a contractor that's already embedded into these facilities. So that took some studying and some research for sure.
and we're gonna get into that exact story here at the end. Like I said, I want to go through a couple of these different jobs and kind of break them down for you guys and tell you guys some of the little, things that happen on each of them. But Jacob, before we get into that, let's kind of talk through what credentials you need in order to get into some of these plants. So I know you said that we've done subcontracting work for people. TWIC cards are necessary. So can you kind of talk to some of those things?
Yeah. So first and foremost, you got to have a TWIC card to enter almost all of these facilities, unless you're going to be doing work outside the gates. And then once you acquire your TWIC card, then they're going to require OSHA safety classes. So for us, getting into these facilities, we have to go sit through a computer class basically, and it could be anywhere from 6 o'clock in the morning until 3 or 4 in the afternoon, or some of them are a little bit faster, could get out of there in 2 or 3 hours. But pretty much every single facility that you enter is going to require a TWIC card and is going to require that OSHA safety card as well as the sites for that specific facility. So a lot of requirements that go into it, a lot of tests, a lot of computer time, sitting there for pretty much the whole day. If you've never done this before, then you got to go through the OSHA safety class itself, which I believe is like a 5-hour class down here where we're at. So
I think one of the benefits is that you and Kelly had worked in the plants in the past, right? So you guys had kind of some of those credentials already in place, right, Jacob?
right. So we had the TWIC cards already, but we had never done work in that facility, and they require an update on their OSHA and their sites once, I think it's annually. Some of them are every 2 years, some of them are once every year. The ones that we do work in are once every year. So we did that first job back in May of 22, and we've had to update it every year since then. So it should be
Right.
coming up within the next couple of months.
That's probably one of the more annoying things. I want to get into some of the hardest parts about this work, but just staying up to date with all the safety regulations. What's also annoying is Mike V sending in $1.99 and then asking for a refund. Can you believe that, Jacob? I mean, his pockets must be hurting right now.
I believe it.
Mike says he does use Quote IQ too. If you guys want to try Quote IQ for $1, any tier, check out the second link in the comment section description. But let's get into the hardest part about doing this type of work, Jacob. So could be the fact that you got to keep up with all these safety things, insurance, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, as far as the paperwork side of it goes, like I said, we've only done one of these jobs that hasn't been under a contractor, so we don't really have to keep up with too much of the paperwork side. We pretty much just fall in as we work, as we're employed for that contractor. For the parking lot striping job, we did not. So getting all those forms filled out and submitted, I think I had to resubmit some of the forms like 3 or 4 times to finally get them submitted the correct way to the facility HR department. So that can be a pain, and definitely was a pain during the process. But I guess what got us through it is like, if we get this job, then it's definitely going to pay for it. And it's going to be worth all the time spent sitting here researching and refilling out forms time and time again to get them right to where they're able to accept them.
Now, there was a specific instance where we got a lead on the job from actually a family friend of mine, and we didn't end up landing it. But they wanted us to pay like a fee in order to send in all the forms, Jacob. Do you kind of want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly what what it was, like
I think it
what we
was a
had to
bunch
go
of
through.
striping inside of it, huh? Instradable.
Yeah, it was a striping job, but in order for us to get into that facility, not being under a contractor, we had to pay like I think it was like $1,800 for some specific license or something to carry, and then that wasn't even if we got the job or not. That was just to enter their facility. So we could enter their facility and them say, never mind, and we're out of $1,800. Not that they would do that. I don't think that would ever really happen, but we pretty much told them, like, we're not paying $1,800 for this until y'all guarantee us the job. Because if we're not guaranteed the job and we end up not getting the job, then we just wasted $1,800 on something we don't necessarily need.
Right. So that was kind of like a double-edged sword a little bit on that instance. So it was a job that
Right.
we were taking a look at. It was going to be pretty good money, but at the end of the day, I don't think we were waiting on feedback from them. We had a guy on the inside that was giving us some feedback on like our quote or something, and they never got back to us. So we never paid the $1,800. So we skirted that. But it's
Yeah.
just something that goes along with doing this type of work. Like there's like gatekeepers and there's, you have to subcontract. And that's another thing was like, even with the subcontracting, like they added on a good bit of money to some of our jobs. So we knew that was coming, right? Jacob, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Like just
Yeah.
subcontracting because of insurance costs and then having to be cognizant of the fact that they're going to add on money on top?
Yeah. So the company that we contract under or subcontract under, they charge, I don't know the exact percentage, but that first quote that we sent in for that first ever industrial job we did, they actually kicked back our estimate and said, hey, y'all need to be more around this number. So it was like 5 or 10 grand we had to come off of our estimate. And at first it was kind of like, no, like this is what we're coming to do it for. We know the requirements, we know the safety risk and all the hazards. But then again, um, we know the money that we were going to make in the amount of time we were going to make it in. And we kind of came to our senses and decided we're not going to go make this type of money anywhere else in the next 4 or 5 days. So we'll come off of our price 5 to 10,000, and that's what we did, and it ended up paying for it
Right.
more
So
time, way more times than it ever would have.
right. It's just another one of those pieces to consider, right? Like it just makes everything a little bit more challenging. So that's probably, one of the harder parts is just having to deal with more people. Jacob, let's kind of talk about the
And
biggest differences between commercial and industrial, just with regards to like time frame of getting the job done, hurdles to jump over, things of that nature.
I mean, we've ran into commercial jobs that have had deadlines as well, but I don't think we're I don't want to say as serious. That's not the right word I'm looking for. Um,
No, but yeah, like on those
like
industrial jobs though, you're talking about like you're kind of uptight like on those
Yeah,
jobs.
like minding your P's and Q's and making sure that everything to do with your business, all the way from your pressure washing one, all the way to the person that's on the TPO roof surface cleaning, is spick and span, not doing anything wrong. Because if they kick you out of these facilities and you get blackballed, that means you're never welcome back in that facility. Or if you have, like, I carry a knife in my pocket every day. If I got the wrong size knife in my pocket in some of these facilities and they see it, they can blackball me from that facility and our company, and we're not allowed back in that facility. So that's one of the biggest things I would say is kind of the difference between commercial and industrial, is just being aware of everything that's going on all at once, versus on a commercial job, if we're doing it at night, you're worried about the car that's coming through the parking lot at 2 o'clock in the morning to make sure that he doesn't hit anybody that's on your crew. Versus an industrial job, you're worried about everything down to a pocket knife being the right size.
Right. Completely agree, bro. So yeah, it gets a little interesting with some of those industrial jobs. Because then once you get kicked out, and that's it. Like you've kind of lost the gift that keeps on giving, if you will.
Yeah, and I don't even think I don't think the contractor that we sub under would like that very much either, because they would be the ones getting that blackballed.
Right, right. Well, sweet. So, Jacob, we kind of covered a bunch of stuff with regards to how to land these, quote these, things that goes on with them, credentials that we need. I kind of want to go through some specific instances of jobs that we've done, kind of give you guys an insight into what those look like. So, the first one we can kind of talk about is the TPO roof that you guys did. And we couldn't use any chemical on this roof. So, can you kind of talk about how challenging that was?
Yeah, so that was the first time that we had ever been hit with the we can't use chemical on these because it was actually in a process area. And what I mean by that is like it wasn't by the front gate, it wasn't any of the admin buildings or anything like that. It was actually one of the substations that was located inside the process area, inside one of the units. And they said that we weren't allowed to use SH, being that if it gets on the ground and it gets into the drainage system and there's chemicals in there that they're unaware of, it could have negative chemical reactions and different things like that, and pollution issues and different and all kind of stuff. So we were only able to use water on two of the TPO roofs that we've done, and it was definitely a lot longer process than if you are able to use chemical, because using chemical on a TPO roof obviously eats away at most of it and then it washes off pretty easy, versus using just a surface cleaner. It's like cleaning concrete without any chemical. So we had to
Right.
hit it like 2 or 3 times.
Another
Both
thing I
days.
should have mentioned with regards to the quoting section, Jacob, is the fact that a lot of these plants wanted us to send quotes in based on hours. So how much we charge per hour. And like we had to like break that down of like that's not really how we charge. Do you want to talk about how that's kind of like something to keep in mind?
Um, so like I've always thought that to send an estimate based on an hourly rate, we would have to be nested in that facility. So like we would have to have a maintenance contract and then we would be able to charge by the hour. We don't really deal with having to factor in hours versus like our actual cost to do the project. That's more of how many days is the project going to take? How much are you charging for your equipment to be in that facility? How many personnel do you have in there? Different things like that that our contractor deals with. We haven't really ran into an instance where we have primarily had to deal with quoting a job by the hour. But I would say that if we were in a facility under a maintenance contract, like we're in there maybe 2 days a week or 3 days a week or every day of the week, then we would be able to charge by the hour because we know exactly what days we're going to be in there, what times we're going to be in there. And then you're able to actually factor in your equipment per hour, your personnel per hour, and any issues you run into and other things like that that you know may happen while you're in that facility.
That might have been an issue like on one of those earlier jobs. I just remember I don't know if it was necessarily the plant that wanted it or the company that we were subcontracting under, but they wanted everything broken down in the quote based on an hourly rate. So like even the equipment, like it was kind of weird how we had to put it together.
Yeah, that was an issue that we ran into like on one of the first ones where we subcontracted, but we pretty much just kind of made it known like we don't know how to quote by the hour whenever it comes to these types of projects just because we've never done it. Like I can tell you what I usually get paid personally in the plant, but I can't tell you what my company should make per hour in the plant because this is only a one-time job at the time um, of actually bidding the job. We thought it was going to be just a one-time gig, which it is. Even if it's annually, you're not guaranteed that job every single year. So it's hard to charge by the hour because you don't know if you're going to run into issues. You don't know how long it's going to take you to do the project. But like I said, if they wanted it done every single week, then we'd be able to charge by the hour because we know exactly how many times and what times we're going to be in the facility doing the work.
Right. So, just another tidbit on quoting. I just remember that being like kind of like a I don't know, something that we had to get over, like a hump we had to get over on that first one. But it doesn't happen all the time. Just some places wanted the quote broken down certain ways. So we talked a little bit about the TPO roof, how we could not use chemical on that. That was kind of an interesting circumstance. The second job I really wanted to talk to you guys about was the gravel parking lot job, which you probably saw on my channel. I just did a short about it yesterday. But we actually tried to turn down that job. So I remember that lead came in, and I told Jacob, I was like, dude, this is a huge parking lot. They need like a ton of lines. So like, of course, big dollar signs came in our eyes. But after Jacob went and looked at it, we kind of talked it over, and it was like, dude, how are we gonna stripe over gravel and have it actually stay? So we decided that we weren't gonna even do the job. We were like, you know what? Don't worry about it. And Jacob, I guess you didn't want to call him, and so you waited, and then he called you, right? And he's
Right.
like, dude, I don't care what y'all got to do. Y'all just got to give me a quote. I'll let you keep going with it. I didn't mean to tell the whole
Yeah.
story.
So like we went and did one of our I was actually coming right off of nights. Like I hadn't even slept yet whenever Justin called me about going look at this job. So I was tired. We had just got done striping and cleaning a parking lot the night before and rolled right into the quote the next morning. And we get there and I'm thinking it's like, a bunch of lawns on some asphalt or concrete, stuff that we're used to seeing. Well, we get there and it's just nothing but gravel and dirt. And I was like, yeah, I don't know where we're striping all these lawns at. So we meet with the guy and he said, yeah, we want to stripe this gravel parking lot for a turnaround we got coming up. Just so, whenever we get started in the turnaround, people are kind of getting an idea of where to park as the turnaround's starting up. And I'm thinking to myself the whole time, like we're talking to him, I'm like, this is kind of dumb, I think, because this isn't going to stick at all. And it's probably going to be gone by the time we get done with the last line. So I ended up sending no, I didn't send the estimate. I ended
We
up waiting a
didn't
couple of
send it.
days.
We talked about it, remember? And it was like, because I even called Chris about it. And I was like, Chris, what do you think about this? And I was like,
Yeah.
and we were like, probably shouldn't even do it because then it's going to reflect poorly on our company, is what we thought,
I think I had looked at it and actually bid it out, but I didn't send it to him.
Right.
I think I had just kind of like he emailed me where to send it to and stuff like that, and I was just kind of like, I'm gonna just think on it for a couple of days and kind of see what happens. Let him play it versus me play into it, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, I waited like 2 days, and then he emailed me back, and I said that was whenever I just told him. I said, yeah, I said we're not gonna be able to do that. We don't want to put that type of work on our business. And if it doesn't stick and y'all are unhappy with it, we don't want to leave that reputation um, with y'all about our company. And just like Justin said, he pretty much told me, I don't care, just get it done. And as soon as you can, I don't care if it's a latex paint, I don't care if it's an oil based paint, just get it done and we'll figure it out from there. And I was like, all right. So I called Justin and I let him know. And
Yeah. And
there
then
we
we
went.
drafted up what should we call the terms and conditions for it, because we had to send it over. We also had to make sure that we covered ourselves in the event that we like striped all these lines in this parking lot and then they're all gone.
Right. They were going as we were striping them. Like some of them weren't even striping because like the pressure from the sprayer was actually pushing the painted dirt away and it was just uncovering more dirt. So like there wasn't even a line there for some of them. But
I
yeah,
was
that
gonna
was
try to find the terms and conditions. I thought I might have texted them to you. I can't remember. Just so we could kind of go over what we said in that. But anyway, very interesting job. And then Jacob, it took us a while to get paid on that job too. That's one of the downsides of that industrial work.
yeah, so we were actually supposed to get paid like on 3 different occasions for that job. And the first time I think I messed up an address or something like that. And they were like, okay, well, we haven't sent it yet anyway. So just update it. So I updated it and then they messed the address up and ended up putting in the address that I had sent initially again. So it ended up taking like 4 or 5 months to get paid from that job. Um, but that's as expected for these industrial jobs. They are going to take a while to process and actually pay out on them just because they have so many different people that they have to go through and have sign off on that check before they release it to you.
Right. Kind of interesting. It's just, that's just the way it goes whenever you're trying to get paid out on some of these. So TPO roof, the gravel parking lot, it's kind of funny because a lot of these jobs, like we've had a horrible time with. The other one was a dock job that we did that we landed off of Facebook. And I kind of feel like it's one of those jobs that you really wish that you wouldn't have done. So Jacob, do you want
That
to tell them a little bit about it?
yeah, that one that's probably the only job I can think about right now that I will probably never take on again is that dock cleaning and restriping job. They wanted um they wanted the lines cleaned, so they had red and yellow paint down. The red was like a fire line, and all it was like a barge basically on the river, and where they brought in coke dust. It's almost like a coal, like a charcoal textured product that they bring into a lot of the plants around here. So it's real dusty, it's real dirty, it's nasty to work around. It's got a lot of oil in it, and it gets all over everything, and it's hard to clean, and it's hard to keep anything clean. So they wanted us to go in, pressure wash all the lawns, pressure wash a curb. It ended up being like 900 foot of curbing and then two 900-foot red lawns. We had to go in, pressure wash all the stuff that was already painted, and then go back over it um, with the same color paint that it was. So the red lawns go back over red, and then the yellow curbing go back over yellow. And then they wanted reflective beads in the fire lane. So that was a lot of work, even getting it cleaned, because you leave and then you come back and it's already dirty again because the coke dust gets everywhere all at once. And it ended up raining. They ended up having barges come in on certain shifts that we were having to work around. So we ended up cleaning it. After it was all said and done, we ended up cleaning the curb and the two red lawns like 4 times before we were actually able to even paint it or attempt to paint it. And then we start painting. The red went good. We got the reflective beads in it and everything done with that. And then we go to paint the yellow curb, and we get like halfway down the 900-foot yellow curb, and we look back and all the paint's just peeling up everywhere where they had oil that wouldn't come up with the pressure washer. It was like flaking the latex paint because of the oil that was stuck in or the oil that was soaked into the concrete. So we ended up just telling them that we couldn't do it after like a 8-month process, and ended up just knocking the curb painting off of the initial quote. And it still took another industrial job. It still took us about 2 months to get paid from that one as well.
Yeah, that one was a tough one. So, dude, yeah, that one was probably the worst job we've ever done. We knew that it was going to be an undertaking when we took it on, but I don't think we thought it would be that bad. So,
Yeah.
it is what it is, dude. Sometimes you get yourself in positions where I think that's really the only time. Jacob, would you say any other job that we've ever done, you'd be like, I'm not doing that again? Like, even the hospital that we did in 4 days, like,
No, I would go do that again right now. I mean, that sucked. It was tiring, and we worked for 36 hours straight with zero sleep. But like we were talking about earlier, whenever those jobs come in, we're the type of people where we're gonna make it happen. If we have the equipment to make it happen, we're just gonna make it happen. And that was another one that initially, um, some people, I'm not gonna mention any names, had talked about turning down. Had talked about turning down, and I was able to get on the phone. I was dealing with some personal family issues at the time, and I said, "Don't turn the job down." I said, "We can get it done. We can do it." We had like, I think it was 48 hours, and it was a little over 100,000 square feet of concrete and an entire hospital. I mean, I think it was like an 8-story hospital and like a full size hospital. Like it wasn't any like a small walk in um, local medical center.
like
It
the
was like a
cost to build this hospital was like tens of millions of dollars. Like it's so
yeah.
huge. Dude, okay, so whenever that lead came in, I was like, I don't think we should touch it. 4 days to do all this plus all the concrete, bro. Like how much concrete was it? It was a ton of concrete. And I
I
was
want to say
like,
it was a little over 100,000 square feet.
and so just the way that we did it was like, okay, tell them to prioritize whatever they want done, and we'll just try to get as much done as we possibly can, just because, like, I don't know. That was a crazy
Right.
job. I
Yeah,
wish I
we
would.
went into go ahead.
No, go.
We went into that job um like with the intent to have to work after the deadline. Like, we did not expect to finish that job by the deadline. We had 48 hours to do it, and we didn't have the equipment that we have now. We did bring in one of our buddies that owned a soft wash and pressure washing company at the time, so he was able to help out a little bit. But for the most part, it was just us running 2 systems, and we did it in just under 36 hours, and they were happy with it. And now um, we do all kinds of facilities for that same hospital.
Right. I would say we probably made like just as much money on like the recurring side of doing more work for them. So it's pretty cool. That's why whenever like they were in distress, we fulfilled a need that they had, and from then on we became their crew. Like they just call us to do all the jobs, come wash everything. I mean, dude, like even how tall this building was, and we didn't have a lift. You remember that, Jacob? I wish
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pull the
We
footage up. It would be cool if we did like a recap on it, but what were you gonna
Yeah,
say?
we definitely probably need to, because I haven't even seen any of the footage from that job.
Right.
I was kinda in zombie land during that whole job, so
I have the terms and conditions from this job. If you guys want to hear it, let me know in the comment section description. We'll kind of go through it. ChatGPT put this together, and so it actually came out really good. So if y'all want to hear the terms and conditions, comment down below, like we want to hear it or something like that, and I'll read through it. That was basically all the big jobs that I kind of wanted to touch on, Jacob, like the TPO roof, the gravel parking lot, the dock job that we really wish that we probably wouldn't have done. Any other jobs that you kind of want to talk about before we wrap? Any other industrial jobs that we've done?
um, I would say really the only other major job that we did that I can think of that was pretty cool to do, because it was our first, like, major TPO roof cleaning, was the pod pack building that we did from that Google lead that you got. Um, Remember, it was like, I want to say that was like 110,000 square feet of TPO roof that we
Oh yeah,
cleaned,
right.
and we did all the sidewalks around the building and the entire building itself. So that was a pretty cool one that came from Google, and
I just
we
mean
did
with
a good
regard to
job.
industrial though. Anything else we want to mention, like in terms of industrial cleanings?
Oh, no, I think that's pretty much it as far as the jobs go. Well, no, we did that. We did another striping job out there we did that asphalt one where we ended up having to remove the paint.
Right. Oh, dude, that was funny. I haven't made a video on that yet, but we did a parking lot striping job, and I guess there was like a long line, right? And we didn't map it out or anything. It was just kind of like an eyeball thing. And then like, Jacob sends me a picture, and the line is like, woo, like that. That's kind of funny, bro.
Yeah, I was like, hey, you got any ideas for how we can remove this and do it again? Because this ain't gonna fly. They ain't gonna like this.
Dude, I gotta make that video because that's a great, pitch into what was it, graffiti defeaty from Southeast Soft Wash. So if you guys ever
Yeah,
get into a pinch with parking lot
thank God
striping,
for thank God for that, because it definitely works
dude,
for
and I
sure.
don't even know if you're supposed to put that on asphalt. Like I bet you could have like really jacked that asphalt up.
We didn't have a choice.
Hey,
I
it worked
mean,
out.
yeah, it was either that or we probably could have rented a hot water machine and got it up with that, but we didn't have the time to. So I mean, we just had to make it work, and thank goodness it did.
So that's
But
kind of like I
graffiti
think
defeated definitely works.
that's kind of like the moral of this story is like you just gotta make stuff work. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like the coolest thing. Todd Ketchow's the only one that said he wanted to hear it, so we'll read it for him. We typed, so this is what me and Jacob typed up. So it was like, in the event that both parties agree to the terms above, this is a legally binding agreement between Veteran Pro Wash and the company that makes both parties aware of the fact that Veteran Pro Wash does not guarantee any results with regards to the painting of the gravel parking lot. In the event that the paint does not stick, Veteran Pro Wash cannot be held liable due to the type of surface that is being requested to be painted. Veteran Pro Wash Veteran Pro Wash's only responsibility is to paint the surfaces regardless of the end result. And then I just put that into ChatGPT and said, hey, turn this into like a legally binding contract. And so it just like took all that and it did it right. So pretty cool. And I think it could have saved us in the event that they didn't want to pay us because the lines weren't there. Right, Jacob?
Right. Yeah, it ended up working out very well, because I mean, the way that he said it whenever he contacted me after me not contacting him after a couple of days, um, first thought that came into my head is like, okay, well, we don't have to worry about it. Let's just go do the job. And then once I finally kind of sat back and thought about it, I was like, why don't we put something in place just in case they're unhappy with it? Let's have something in place that they have to agree to. That way, if they are unhappy with it, this is one guy. Like he has a boss out there. And if his boss is unhappy with it, then there's nothing that he can say because we're on the phone and there's no written agreement, there's no text messages or anything like that saying that he agreed to the final product, whether it stuck to the gravel or not. So I got with Justin. I said we need to put something in place to send to them just in case something comes back on us. We're covered at the end of the day once we get done with this job.
Absolutely. So, hey, make sure you cover yourself. Make sure you're prepared for all situations. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. Jake, we got anything else that we want to add on with regards to industrial cleanings?
No. The only other thing I would say is if you ever find yourself in one of these situations, or if you have, and maybe you have turned it down, don't doubt yourself. I mean, know enough to know what you can and can't do and what you're capable of as a company or as a person, but don't doubt yourself. You can do a lot more than you think. We've done it, and it's gotten us where we are today. And we're not the biggest company, but we're definitely not the smallest. And we market on Google, through Facebook. We talk, we pass out business cards, and it's incredible what you can actually accomplish whenever you feel like you have no other choice. You do have a choice. You can back down and say, no, I can't do that. Or you can just step up and bite the bullet and get the job done and turn it into something bigger in the end. So
I love it, bro. That was inspiring. And if you guys want to know how we whoop everybody's ass with regards to landing jobs, be sure to check out Local Domination 2. In here, we spill all the beans on how we get in front of these large commercial jobs. I would hate to be in an area where me and Jacob both are, just because like we're monsters. You know what I mean? So, and if you can become somebody who really knows how to market their business properly, you're going to put yourself in the best possible scenario in order to land these jobs. Not only are we monsters with regards to like our placement for acquiring these jobs, but also how quickly we're able to respond, how well we're able to leverage relationships, and all that turns into more money, more business for ourselves. And it's really great. So be sure to check out Local Domination. First link in the comment section and description. And of course, you got to have Quote IQ. Try it for $1, myquoteiq.com. Second link in the comment section description. But with all that being said, Jacob, anything else? You got to pick the word of the day. Every guest that comes on the channel gets to pick the word of the day.
industrial.
Industrial. If you guys made this one review, comment down below industrial. Hit the thumbs up button for us if you guys haven't already. But until next time, hustle hard. Get that money, baby. Peace.